The question is ways to manage and accept anxiety. So I think one thing that's very important to appreciate with anxiety is that it's not a disease as such. There can certainly be major problems that come about because of it, but the physiology of anxiety, things like cortisol and adrenaline hormones in our system, the adrenal glands in the center of the body, the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, these are all functions that are there to help us essentially in moments of danger. And for the most part, they're there in all humans and across the board in animals as well. So when something is that recurrent, we got to say, well, hold on a moment, is this a bug or a feature? Now, sometimes things can be both. It's not always that simple. But I think one of the simplest things we can do with anxiety, and of course we could do thousands of sessions on this alone, but one of the simplest things that we can do is recognize that it is a kind of an aspect or an ability that we have as a person. Now, of course, we can absolutely overuse it, and it can be very scary, and it can cause many challenges, but that still doesn't change, I suppose, the appreciation that we have it as a feature. We have the ability to protect ourselves. And when there's kind of unwanted and unnecessary anxiety, what tends to be happening is our anxiety systems are active in a well-intentioned way to keep us safe, but when we're not in the presence of danger. And where this gets tricky is, over the course of time, for one of your ancestors thousands of years ago, should Uncle Bob feel scared when there is actually a lion or a tiger in front of them? Or should they get scared when they hear a rustle in the bush? And you can see the pros and cons of each. You're going to have false positives if it's just the rustle in the bush. You get scared when you don't need to. But there are advantages to being scared, because you're going to be more attentive and you're probably going to get out of there and you're going to play it safe. So this is what's sort of tricky about this. So we have an interesting system that tends to be triggered by imagination or ideas or worries. And of course, with anything, particularly strong anxiety, going to get a good medical checkup is always number one, and just making sure there isn't any underlying condition or anything else that can be addressed. But a lot of the time, in a sense, there are good reasons for us to be anxious because we're worried about things, we're getting caught up in certain patterns of thoughts, and that then is leading the adrenal system and other systems to become active in that moment. Just like when you watch a horror film on TV, even though on some level it's fiction, on a deeper level, it's like your body doesn't know. It believes you're there. So that works with a book as well. Reading a book, you start to feel that way, even though it's just black text on white paper. But it also works that way if you close the book and you imagine the story, or if you just have thoughts, like dreams at night or daydreams during the day. They're capable of activating that system. So, getting a check if the symptoms are strong is really important, and, whether that can be addressed on that level or not, either way, it'll give you a good sense of what the next steps are. So that's the first step. But the second step then is, I think, normalizing anxiety and asking that question, why might it be there? Are there any good reasons for me to feel these feelings? Is there anything that maybe I should or could be addressing in my life? And it's as if my system is, bringing those feelings forward as a little bit of an alarm bell. So, of course, sometimes some in-depth one-to-one work will make this much easier to do, but at least kind of reflecting in that way and trying to understand and come to terms with it can be much more useful than battling it, because battling it very often leads to a feedback loop. You're stressed, then you're stressed over being stressed, then maybe stressed about that, and that can lead to symptoms, and so it can go into a bit of a cycle. So stepping back, breathing, recognizing and understanding, and drawing on any supports can be useful there. If you found this valuable, do like, subscribe and share. And what's your experience? Do you have any questions or topic suggestions? You can contribute in the comments, on social media using #BodyMindSelf, or at jfl.com.